अलग से बेटा कर्नल होगा, अगर इसका कर्नल लगा होगा तो उसके रिसोर्सेज भी अलग होंगे, इसकी मेमोरी भी अलग होगी, इसका रैम भी अलग होगा, एवरीथिंग इज गोइंग टू बी सेपरेट। वो सेपरेट कहां से होगा बेटा? इट इज गोइंग टू take the resource from the host operating system and distribute into guest operating system. Okay, so this is how the virtual machine is going to work. Now one of the very bigger point you need to understand is this guest operating system beta, if windows installed, so 1.5 GB setup windows का हो गया, 2 GB का android studio होगा, 1 GB का SQL हो गया, so everything needs to be installed separately into this, which makes this whole setup a lot bulky. Okay, so it is difficult to share a virtual machine worth 5 GB to any of the operations team, so it is difficult. So what other you can do is यहाँ पे बेटा infrastructure the hardware, then host operating system, let it be operating system भी आपका बेटा कुछ भी हो सकता है, Windows, Mac, anything. Then the Docker daemon. So this is the Docker daemon, like torrent आप बेटा डाउनलोड करते हैं, इसी तरीके से आपको Docker का एक एप्लीकेशन डाउनलोड करना है. So when you download the Docker application, so within this it is going to share the resources of the host operating system, so no separate kernel is there for the Docker daemon. Okay, now all the resources are shared, so that means within this Docker containers that you're going to launch on this one, these Docker containers will not be having their own kernel, and that means within this container you'll have the limited number of files. सिर्फ बेटा ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम की वही फाइल्स होंगी इसके अंदर दैट आर मैंडेटरी फॉर रनिंग एन एप्लीकेशन. ठीक है, जो कि आपकी इस एप्लीकेशन को रन करने के लिए ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम के जितने रिसोर्सेज चाहिए, only that much resources will be within the container. Okay, so the size of these containers sometimes 50 MB, 100 MB, 150 MB, 200 MB, like this. You'll have a smaller size of these containers. Okay, so this is another point. Then coming on to the getting starting with Docker. Okay, so first of all you'll have the, so this is the structure with which it is going to work. So beta, you are going to have the Docker file. Okay, so this is something like Docker file which needs to be built and pushed onto, created as a Docker image. Okay, now this Docker image can run on the container which has the Python installed into it. You have written the code using the Docker image, you can run into it. Okay, now if you want to run this and if you are going to put it into the either Docker Hub central repository or Amazon ECR, you can push your code into the central hub. Okay, and you can store it publicly so that everyone else in the world can use it, or you can pull back from the central repository so that you can execute. So this is how the structure of the Docker is going to be. Okay, now Docker containers management on AWS. So up to this point we have seen the Docker. Now we are going to see how Docker containers that we have understood, how they can be managed on the AWS network. So we'll see how we can do with the help of the AWS. So this is what we are going to start right now. Okay, so in the Docker containers management, on it has the Amazon Elastic Container Service. The first one is Amazon Elastic Container Service, which is called as ECS, Amazon's own container platform. जैसे कि we have the Docker Hub, in the same way Amazon is going to have a Amazon ECS. So Amazon Elastic Kubernetes Service. So Amazon Managed Kubernetes, this is open source. Amazon Fargate is another service, own serverless container platform. But for this one, how this ECS is going to be different from Fargate, because this is completely serverless. Even without having the EC2 instances at the front end, this can execute the containers. But by the way, using this ECS, we need to have any of the servers जिसके ऊपर बेटा we are going to run the containers. Okay, so to run the containers we need to have the servers in case of ECS, but Fargate is the serverless container platform. Okay, so works with the ECS and EKS and Amazon ECR. What is this ECR? This is going to store the container images. Okay, so now Amazon ECS EC2 launch type. Try to read this. Okay, so it is written Amazon ECS Elastic Container Service EC2 launch type. How you're going to launch an instance, and on that instance you can launch the container. So launch a Docker container on AWS. How you can do it? So first of all, launch the ECS tasks on the ECS clusters. Then EC2 launch type, you must provision and maintain the infrastructure EC2 instances. Each EC2 instance must be done ECS agent to register the ECS cluster and then take care of the starting and stopping of the container. So that means you are going to have first of all ECS Elastic Container Service. So this is everything is within the Elastic Container Service. Within this, you are going to have the multiple EC2 instances. So this is one instance, another instance, another instance. Every instance is going to have ECS agent which is going to launch the container. So this is the second EC2 agent which is going to launch the container. In the same way, every other instance needs to have any of the EC2 agent that can launch it. Okay, so EC2 agent is what? EC2 agent is to register the ECS cluster. So whatever ECS cluster you're going to have for register, you need to have. Okay, so you for all these three instances you can combine and you can form the new cluster that will be looking in the just practical. Okay, next is Amazon ECS Fargate launch type. You will observe beta here you will not see any of the EC2 instances. Okay, even though it is impossible to have the without server you are going to launch it, but in the front end we are not supposed to manage the server, so that is why it is called as the serverless. Okay, so launch Docker containers on AWS. You do not provision the infrastructure. That means you do not provision. That does not mean that there is no infrastructure. Do not provision means that I am not the responsible for managing the servers. So no EC2 instances to manage. It is all serverless. You just create the task definitions and AWS just run ECS task for you based upon the CPU RAM you need. Okay, to scale, just increase the number of tasks, simply no more than EC2 instances. Now if you want to scale, just increase the number of tasks and the cloud watch is going to trigger an alarm and automatically the size is going to be increased. Okay, you need not to have increasing the servers manually because it is completely serverless. Okay, now coming on to the next one, Amazon ECS IAM roles for the EC2. This is important image, but now you will observe that you will have the EC2 instance and there is a instance profile, EC2 instance profile that is being attached, that who can run the this task. So you are going to have an EC2 agent, and suppose there are multiple tasks, task A and task B that is required to be run, and these are going to be associated with the task roles. Okay, so task roles होंगे, role A and role B. Suppose role A needs to assess the S3 bucket and role B needs to assess the different database. Let's suppose, give me a second. Okay, so beta we were discussing the Amazon ECS IAM roles for the ECS. Okay, now since every task that needs to have the engagement with the services that are not present within the same EC2 environment, so suppose this needs to have the data present on S3 bucket, or someone else needs to have the data which is on the Dynamo DB is there. So all these things are going to be associated with one of the roles. So IAM roles are there for the every EC2 instance. So EC2 instance profile have the launch type only used by the ECS agents. So it makes the API calls to the ECS services and send container logs to the CloudWatch. So whatever container logs are there, it will be sent to the CloudWatch and and this going to pull the Docker images from the ECR. So the central repository where the all the images are present, so it is going to pull from there, and reference sensitive data secret manager or SSM parameter stored. So these are going to manage the data externally, which is not present within the EC2 instance. So that means they are going to fetch it from the central repository. So task role kya hai? Beta, task roles are very important. I'll show you just now when we are going to execute it practically. That task roles are going to determine. So this is going to allow each task to have a specific role. Okay. So different roles for the different ECS services you run, and task role defined in the task definition. So we'll be giving the task definition within this, which will be assigning the different task roles. Okay. Then next we have is the port number that users are going to assess. That this is a user, suppose they're assessing from port number 80, that is HTTP, or 443 from SSH. They're going to assess the application load balancer. Now this ALB is connected to further instances which is present on the ECS clusters. Okay, so load balancing integration, so we'll see that as well. These are associated with the Amazon EFS, which is present on the multiple availability zone. Okay, they can mount it on the EC2 cluster. So this is also okay. Good. EC2 services auto scaling. Okay, so let's try to move on to, before we discuss auto scaling, let's try to move and discuss the points that we have studied right now. Okay, let me stop the screen share and move to the management console. But is my screen visible? Yes, I think it's visible. So let's move to the management console and execute the containers. Okay, so the very first thing we are going to do is we are going to move to ECS, Elastic Container Services. Click on this. Okay, so this is the previous version beta. Okay, so let's first of all, the moment you reach here, move to the top left corner and enable this new ECS experience. Click on this. So I'm going to switch on this toggle, and now you'll have the new interface. Okay, so this is the new interface, and we are going to click on get started. So first of all, we need to create a cluster. Okay, so let's give the name of the cluster. Then we are going to see the next one is VPC, and we have been provided with a default VPC and subnets on which this cluster is going to be present. So all three is present. Then we move on to the next part, that is serverless. Now, if it is serverless, it is already enabled. You will see the Fargate. This is a serverless. This is by default enabled. Infrastructure, under this infrastructure, this is by default available serverless. So we cannot untick this. Okay. And along with this, we can use either Amazon EC2 instances, or you can use the external instance using EC2 elsewhere. So suppose if you have the servers is present or onto their physical machines within your company. So if you want to use that, you can click on this one. Otherwise, you can click on the Amazon EC2 instances. So let's click on two of the things. One is the AWS Fargate serverless containers that will be executed, and the second one will be EC2 instances are going to execute the servers. And you will see the next thing we need to have the create a new auto scaling group. So we need to create the auto scaling group for this. Okay, so let's create on auto scaling group. Now operation systems and architecture, choose an operating system. The Amazon Linux 2 is good. EC2 instance type, uh, let's do T2 micro, which is free of cost. T2 micro. Okay, you'll have the T2 nano as well. So let's choose the T2 micro. Then we'll have the desired capacity. Minimum is 0, maximum is 5. Desired capacity means specify the number of instances do you want to launch within the cluster. So cluster is going to be launched, and within that cluster we'll have the multiple EC2 instances that are going to launch. Okay, so let's keep it as it is. So minimum can be 0 and the maximum can be all the way from it can be 1 2 3 4 5 anything. So let's keep it 5 default. Then SSH key pair, if you want to have it, so you can choose it, but let's not change anything in this. And the next one is we'll have the external instances using EC2 elsewhere. So you'll have any of the external instances, you can click on this, and if you want to use, you can use that. Okay. Now the monitoring, this is optional, so leave it as it is. Tags, these are optional, leave it as it is. Let's click on create. So cluster, demo cluster creation is in progress, so it is being created. Okay. So in the meanwhile, let me show you one thing. Let's go to the auto scaling group. So meanwhile, the cluster is being created. Let's move to the management console. Let's move on to the auto scaling group, and you will find automatically there's a infra ECS cluster ECS launch template. Automatically beta auto scaling group is being created. Okay, so it is going to be created here automatically because we have specified the points here, that the number of instances what we required, what is operating system, we have given every instruction here, and you can click on this and you can see here the desired capacity is 0, minimum capacity is 0, maximum is 5. You can get all the scaling group name. Okay, so let's move here and see. This is created successfully. Okay, now you'll see this is created successfully, and within this you will get a resource name, then launch template, you will get all the details here. Okay, now network, you can see it is available in AP South 1, C, B and A. Every information you will have it, and when you go to the activity, you will get the instances here, or you will get the instance management. Okay, you will get the instance management, and the moment this is created, you will get the no default found. Okay, since we do not have the minimum one, you look onto here details, but the desired capacity we have kept it at 0. So that is why in the instance management we don't have any of the instances right now. Okay, so no instances are created now. So what we can do is we can change the minimum capacity in order to launch the uh, in order to launch any of the instance. So first of all, let's click on the demo cluster. Okay, so inside this demo cluster, you'll scroll down and you'll see the services, tasks, So all the tasks that are being executed will be there. Then you have the infrastructure, and under infrastructure you can see there are three things that can execute this container. One is Fargate, type is Fargate provider, then we have Fargate spot and provider, and the third one, this is important, that we have created ASG auto scaling group that can ASG provider. Okay, so the ASG provider can auto scale the instances. Managed scaling, yes, it is a managed scaling. Okay, so all this information is present here. The next thing is, so let's move to the auto scaling, and under activate, under details, you will find we'll have the minimum capacity is 0. That is why we have node instance. Let's move and click on edit, and we'll have the desired capacity. Let's change it to 1. Okay, let's update this. Now when you'll go to the instance management and you'll refresh this, go to the instance management. Now since I need to refresh this, and you will see one of the instances automatically created and it is still pending. Okay. So we have got the demo cluster, and within this demo cluster you will see the container instances. Okay, so under the container instances you will be having one of the instance. So since the instance is being launched, this is pending. Let's click on this. So this is in service. Okay, so we have got the instance which is in service, which is of T2 micro type. Okay, and let's move on to the ECS here. Now we'll see the container instances. Let's refresh this, and you see under the in our demo cluster, automatically we have got one of the EC2 instance which is active and which is running. Okay, since the minimum capacity, of course, the running task, we are not running anything on this EC2 instance. So running task are 0. Now since we have kept the minimum capacity as a 1, so we are running only 1. Okay, so CPU utilization is 1024, memory available is 482. So everything is available. All the information is done here. The next thing that we can do is, so we have created one of the clusters. So let me, we have created a cluster as of now. Let's try to execute few more services. So cluster services training, let's click on this, go to the task definitions. Okay, and let's click on new task definition, the container that I want to have, the definition for that, and let's define it, the task definition configuration, and this is the container image that I am going to pull. Because now I'm going to write the container image that I will want to pull from the Docker hub, and the same image that I need to have it. So there's a very common one and very lightweight. Now some of you can ask, sir, yehi kyun likha? Because this is very lightweight. The name of the image is NGINX. Okay. Uh, NGINX. Okay, chalo. So ये वाला, let's try to write this image that I want to pull. So I'll be writing NGINX. Let's search this. This is readily available. So you'll have the hub.docker.com. The very first link that you get is Docker Hub. Go to the Docker Hub website and you'll find the nginx demo hello. So this is from the Docker Hub. So I just need to pull this. Okay. So how we are going to pull this? So let's move on to this one. So container name, why I need to specify here. Then image URL. Okay. So here I need to specify the image URL. So I'll go here and I'll copy this image and paste it. Give me a second. Okay. So I have copied the URL of this particular image and we have pasted it here. Okay. So the next thing is we are going to have the container port. So container internet will be port to 80 and protocol uses TCP. So that's perfect. And we need to create the better auto scaling group, or sorry, security group also. And we need to make sure in the security group we have TCP port is open for the 80. Okay, then only we'll be able to execute this. So container port is there, and you can add more ports, environmental variables. If you want to add, you can do it, and you can add multiple containers, but we are good to go with this one. So I'm going to click on next. So next one is environment. So configure environment, storage, monitoring, and the tag. So environment, so automatically we have got here the AWS Fargate, which is serverless, or you can choose the AWS AC2 instance. So you can choose any one of these two options are there. Okay. So I'm going to keep it. Let's choose. Let's keep it as it is. And operating system is Linux. That's good. Uh, so we'll have a lot of operating system let with it as it is. Task size within the container, you want to have one virtual CPU, or you'll have the zero point 0.5 virtual CPU. Let's keep it as a smaller one. Memory, you can also have the 3 gigs, or you can have the all the way up to 30 gigabytes of virtual memory you can have. Let's keep it as a 1 GB. Okay. The next one is the container size option and the task roles. I was telling you task roles are very important. Okay, so task roles are going to be very important, and you'll observe here the task role is, so it is written the task IAM role allows containers to a task IAM role allows container in the task to make API request to AWS services. So this can make a request to AWS services like S3 bucket or any of the other services if they need to have. Task role is one which is going to make some requests. Okay. Now the moment I click on the task one, so I don't have any of here the task role right now. Then we'll have the storage. So this will have the by default AWS forget receiver, won't take gigs of FE normal storage is there. So that's pretty good. Everything. And let's click on the next. So task definition is demo created. Let's create this one. This is being created. Let's move on to the EC2. See this EC2. Okay. Under EC2, let's move on to the security groups. And we are about to create a new security group. And let's have the uh, ALB ECS test. Okay. And let's have automatic load balancer for ECS security group. Now we are supposed to have the inbound rule here, and in this inbound rule, so we are specifying the port range that is going to be 80 port, because container will be open at the port number 80, and we are going to choose anywhere IPv4, and let's add one more rule, and we are going to have again port 80 and anywhere IPv6, or we are going to add these two. Check. Rest everything is good, and let's create a security group. So we have got the security group created, ALB ECS. Okay, so we have got this uh, security group is created, and we need to, let's move to the security group. One more security group is required. Okay, let's create one more security group. I'll tell you why this second security group is required, because the container needs to communicate using this. I'm going to use nginx demo security group, and let's have the inbound rule, and in that place TCP0 the custom IP, and I supposed to, this is going to allow the traffic from the security group, that we have just created. Mm, so this is the one, ALB ECS SG. So this is the security group that we have created right now. So I'm going to allow this security group. Okay. So this is done. And what this is all, we can write a description. This means allow traffic from ALB security group, that we have created earlier. So this is done. And let's have one more rule add. Not this one. Instead of custom TCP, let's have all TCP. We need to have all TCP. Okay, so we have allowed the traffic for this Nginx demo security group. This should allow the traffic originating from the automatic load balancer. So there's nothing difficult. By the way, this up to this point we have already done in our previous classes. And let's have the for this is one of the service. Create a security group. Done. So we have got a security group created. And let's move on to the container services. Okay, so we are back to our container service ECS, and you will find here the clusters. So let's move on to the cluster. We have already got our demo cluster. Click on the demo cluster. Okay, and under the services section, click on deploy. And when you click on deploy the demo cluster, deployment configuration, either it is a service that launching a group of tasks handling a long running computation work, then it is a service. Or if it is a short term task, you can click on this launch a standalone task then runs and terminate automatically. कोई भी एक ऐसा प्रोग्राम है जो कि बहुत छोटा प्रोग्राम है, you can for that purpose you can click on the task and then you can work on it. Okay, so you can choose the option. So right now I'm going to click on the service. Okay, so now we'll have the task definition. So under the task definition, so we'll need to have the family, and under the family you have got one name, that's perfect. And revision, it is given that revision, let it be 1, which is the latest version. So for this family, latest version there, service name is there, you can type any name here. Okay, desired task is there. Then we have the deployment options. Okay, let's click on the deployment options. Then we have the minimum running task is 100, maximum running task is 200. You can change this if you want. Let's move on to the next option, that is load balancing. And load balancer type, you'll get automatic load balancer. Yes, we have created it. Okay. So automatic load balancer, let it be, the name is, let it write it demo automatic load balancer for PCs. So we are going to have a listener on port number 80 and protocol is HTTP. So target group name is, as we have written in the previous one as well, it is yes, you can write it anything, and it will be open to port number 80.
सर ये वाली चीजें कहाँ से क्रिएट करनी है?
Vishal beta, I have moved on to the contain clusters, and within demo clusters I'm going to create a service. So this is the path. Okay, and
Okay,
first
sir.
of all, go to the clusters. We'll click on this one option. Okay, then move to the clusters. Okay, when then clusters, then click on the demo clusters. Okay. So this is the final step that we are executing. Then we were here at the port number 80 is open for the container, protocol is HTTP, and then we are going to protocol is HTTP. Health check path is, let's suppose, slash. So health check grace period, let it be 20 seconds. Then we have the next tab is going to be networking. Okay. So under networking, let's see, VPC is already there, subnets are already there. Okay. And here you'll find a user, create a security group or use the existing one. So use existing one security group that we have just created. So this is the security group C, NGI NX demo SG. Okay, so this is we have created, it is already there. Let's remove a rest of the security group. So use the existing security group NGI NX demo SG. This is what we have created just now. Okay. So public IP, it is enabled. Let's keep it as it is. Tags are optional. So let's remove this.
Can
Yes.
you once show deployment configuration?
Vishal, beta, your voice is disconnecting. Come again.
So deployment configuration.
Better type in the comment section. I'm not able to get you. Voice is breaking.
सर डेवलपमेंट कॉन्फ़िगरेशन वाली जो पार्ट है ना, वो वाली एक बार दिखाना सर.
Development configuration.
Yes sir.
Okay, better let. Okay. So this one.
No sir, what you feel in deployment configuration, na, that one.
Deployment configuration.
That one sir.
See,
yes sir.
But there are two options you can choose. Actually, services for 99% of the cases we choose services. Services का मतलब कोई भी application है that you want to deploy, और टास्क है कि आपने कोई प्रोग्राम लिखा हुआ है जो कि आप चाहते हो कि एक बार एग्जीक्यूट हो और फिर वो टर्मिनेट हो जाए. So you can choose the task. So I'm going to keep it as a service. Family is this one, revision, the latest version is there. It is automatically present. Service name you can give anything, and the number of tasks you want to have is single task. Okay. Then the everything rest is better default. Running a task is 0, maximum is 200. I have left it as it is. Now coming on to the load balancer, I have only one options, application load balancer, and yes, I have already created it. And then coming on to the application load balancer, which one, create a new one or use the existing? So I have used the new one, that is NGI NX ECS, which is open at this port. Okay. Then coming on to the subnet, available on all three subnets, and security group, whichever is created, NGI NX demo security group. Okay. So then we are going to click on deploy. So deployment is in progress. This may take few minutes. Okay. But give me a second. In the meanwhile, it is deploying. Take a break, 5 minutes break, and then come back. In the meanwhile, but it is deploying. Then we'll continue from this point. Okay. Take a 5 minute break.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so better let's continue. Today very less number of students have joined the class. But if you are going to miss the topic, it will be really difficult to catch up. So don't miss the class. Okay, so we have cluster overview we have created, and you will see. So it is already deployed. Okay, so we have created, and you will see at service name is there and status is active and deployment is one by one task, means because we have launched only one of the instance, so that is why it is showing one of the one. Okay, so under this, let's see if I'll click on under this, and you will see the desired task is one because we have one instance running. You can scroll down, and under the notifications you can see health is there, will be loading. Under the management console, you'll go to the load balancers. Okay, so it has automatically created one of the load balancer, you will see here. So this has created one load balancer ALB. You will find demo ALB for ECS. Load balancer will be created. You will find. Okay, so you will see the demo ALB for ECS. A load balancer is automatically created the moment it is being done, and once you click on this, you will have the all the values, name, IP addresses. Okay, and you will have the security group. We need to make one change here. So this is the security group, which is NGINX demo SG. Now we'll need to click on the security group. Okay, so when we click on the security group, you'll see that there are multiple security groups will be there, and we need to choose the so the management security group, edit security group, and you will see I need to add, select the security group you want to add with your load balancer. So what are the security groups that I want to add? So one is the default one, NGINX demo security group for NGINX, and one another security group that I need to attach is ALB ECS SG. So ALB ECS SG for the security group. This one that we have created, I'm going to attach this as well. Or let's remove this one. This is not required. So only this will do the work. Okay. Let's save this. Okay. ALB for ECS SG. That means any of the traffic for this is going to be routed through automatic load balancer. Okay. Rest of the things is okay. And finally, we are going to copy the DNS name from here. Let's copy this and copy this and paste it here. So you'll see this is working fine. Okay, so when we'll have this executed from the beta auto scaling group, we have been executing, you'll see the image that we have pulled from the Docker. So this is from the Docker hub beta, the image that we have pulled, and we are able to execute successfully here. Okay, now
सर
yes,
सर ब्रेक के बाद का स्टेप क्या था?
बेटा ब्रेक के पहले का क्या था, पहले मेरे को वो याद करने दो.
सिर्फ वो क्लस्टर हमने क्रिएट किया
क्लस्टर
था।
क्रिएट किया था, हाँ बेटा। द क्लस्टर क्रिएट करने के बाद वी नीड टू गो टू द ऑटोमेटिक लोड बैलेंसर। आप ये चेक करेंगे कि डेमो एएलबी ऑटोमेटिकली क्रिएट हो गया। उसके अंदर आप डिस्क्रिप्शन में जाएंगे, आपको वहां पे जाके सिक्योरिटी ग्रुप एक्सचेंज करना है। तो पहले आपके पास सिक्योरिटी ग्रुप जो था वो बाय डिफॉल्ट इट वाज अटैच NJNX डेमो SG, चेंज इट टू द ALB जो ऑटोमेटिक एप्लीकेशन लोड बैलेंसर वाला सिक्योरिटी ग्रुप है, उसको चेंज करना बस। दैट्स द ओनली थिंग यू नीड टू डू। Okay, after that you
Okay,
just need to after that copy the DNS name from here, and you need to execute, and you will be able to launch the service from the container. Now beta, what is this? This is the image. हुआ क्या है कि we have copied the image, we have put it into there, and then we have put it into the EC2 instance. EC2 instance आपका container के अंदर था. Using the application load balancer, I'm trying to assess this, and we have been successfully doing this. Now अभी के लिए बेटा you will observe the server address is only one. So one is the server address. No matter how many times I'm going to refresh this, I'll keep it, I'll have only one server address. Okay, so then so next thing is we can, if I'll have the multiple, let's suppose if I launch the multiple instance. Okay, so if I'll write the test even here, so even then it is going to work. So test, then it is still going to work. Yes. So let's suppose if I have the multiple, you'll see the test is there. So URL, this is working fine. And let's suppose I will have the multiple, the instances, and under the services, if I go to ECS and let's go to the clusters, demo cluster, and under the services you will see active, and one by one there is only one task, and that is why we have been getting the response from one of the container. Okay, so we can increase this, and of course beta these are the chargeables. Okay, so this is not free of cost. I can expand this. Let's suppose I'll click on this one. Desired task is 1. Okay, running task is 1. So I can do is let's go and edit. Okay,
sir, how much task it will run freely?
but a task, you can run the desired number of tasks can be anywhere depending upon the operating system or see we have chosen T2 micro. Okay, so
Yes,
based
sir.
on T2 micro you can run 5 to 10, but as you are going to increase the instance you can have the large number of the containers that you can run. So as of now I am trying to see desired 8 tha, let's try to change it to 4. And if you don't want to have the cost बेटा क्योंकि ये paid है तो मैं 4 को कर जरूर रहा हूं, but I'll change it after showing you the response. Okay, so let's change it to the 4. Okay, now desired task is changed to 4 instead of this, and I'm going to update this. Now you'll see the desired is 4, running is 1. Okay, it will take certain time to propagate the changes, and let's go to this one and services. Let's go to services, and under services you will find beta this is 1 by 4 क्योंकि अब मेरे desired कितने हैं, task is 4 and active is 1 and pending 3 are still in a pending state, so वो अभी भी initialize वो हो रहे हैं. Okay, so let's refresh this. So you'll see 2 out of 4 are running. You'll keep on refresh, 4 out of 4, all 4 are running. You'll see all 4 are running. And if you click on this, you will see desired is 4, pending 0, and all are in a running state. If you go to the configuration and task, okay, and you will find in configuration and task there are 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and all 4 are beta successfully running. And this is the oldest one from 8 minutes, and the last 3 are just now that are running. and every of it is running 0.5 virtual CPU and 1 gigs of RAM. Okay. I've got one message. Done. Okay, that's very good. Now once this is done, beta, now if I'll move to our page and if I'll refresh this, you will see now since there are 4 tasks that are being running inside the container. Okay, so I'll be getting a response from the different ones. So if I'll move on here, now see earlier I used to have only one IP address. Now if I'll change this, so you'll see every time I have got the different task that is being responding to me. Okay, so that means all 4 are running absolutely fine with the help of this ASG. Okay. All 4 are running. So now let's try to delete this because we don't want to have the bill for this. And all 4 are running. Let's click on this desired 4. Let's click on edit. Okay, and desired task I'll change it to 0. I don't want to have any of the task running. Okay, the purpose is solved. And I'm not going to delete anything. बेटा इसको delete भी कर सकते हैं, but I have reduced the executing the task of 0 ताकि जो settings है, so we have all these settings like that only in case we need to have anything executing further. Okay, so it will take certain time to propagate. So desired is 0. We'll move on to this one, configuration tasks. Okay, so we'll have running, it will shut down, keep on refreshing. Services. So you'll have 0 service out of 4 is running. So you'll see automatically it has terminated. 0 services, they are going to be terminated. And I hope you have got the idea how we can pull the image from the Docker Hub and how we can put it into the container, and that container in EC2 instance, how we can use the auto scaling group and how we can execute this. Okay, so this will be beta all for our today's session. Okay, so we have another topic and that will be starting in our today, the next session. Okay, just let me take an attendance before we leave. But please practice along with me. That's extremely important. And today's Friday, of course. Tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday will not be having the class, and we'll have only 1 week left for our this training. And probably in a day or two, आज और कल के बीच में बेटा, I'll give you the second assignment, and you need to execute, and you need to upload onto the drive in the same way you have done previously. Okay? So let me take the attendance. But a very less number of students have joined the today's class. Okay, so if anyone is having any doubt, yes Vishal, please ask me the doubts.
इसको रखना है या डिलीट कर दूं?
इसको बेटा डिलीट कर सकते हैं आप. सो आई हैव केप्ट इट. आप टास्क जो है ना, रनिंग टास्क है, उसको बंद कर लीजिए. बाकी अगर आपका 0 टास्क रनिंग है, उससे कोई बिलिंग पे इफेक्ट नहीं पड़ेगा. So in case if we associated to this, अगर हमें और एग्जीक्यूट करना होगा, so we need not to have all these settings again. मैंने इसीलिए रख लिया हुआ है. If you want to keep it, you can. Otherwise, you can delete this.
सर मैंने रनिंग टास्क 0 कर दिया लेकिन फिर भी रनिंग दिखा रहा है।
बेटा वो दैट विल टेक सर्टेन टाइम टू शट डाउन, डोंट वरी। आप इसको लॉग आउट कर लो और 5-10 मिनट के बाद लॉग इन करोगे तो वो 0 हो जाएगा अपने आप।
ओके सर।
Okay then, so beta, this is all for our today's session. Thank you and have a happy weekend. Thank you. You can leave the session.
सर प्लीज सेंड ऑल द PPTs.
PPTs, okay beta. I need to resolve it. मैं upload कर दूंगा, I'll upload it onto the drive. Okay.
ओके सर.
Okay. All the very best and you can leave.